Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, InaneDragon, and I'm inanely bored and really short on inspiration for my next video. So what say we see what Hagbard Celine's been up to over on the Twitter.com. Well, fuck. I don't care if it's Miley Cyrus that cures cancer so long as we get it done. Let's watch.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Today is the 6th of June, 2017. We are in the summer months. I live at the ocean. Look around. Do you see that? It's also 46 degrees. You can see my breath. Do you know why?
Well, I can't see your breath, but we'll grant that for the sake of argument. In which case, it's because it's 46 degrees and the dew point is low enough to allow condensation of the hot air that you're putting out. It's probably 46 degrees because of the combined effects of the jet stream dipping down in the mid-Atlantic region, and that cloud cover has likely been there for days due to the prevailing weather conditions. Cloud cover cools during the day since it reflects solar radiation away from the Earth. Let me guess, this cloud cover lasted for days? Wait a minute. This isn't about Miley Cyrus at all, is it? And you're gonna be the only cancer we get.
Because Harvard University has come out and said we are spraying the atmosphere to reflect the sun's light back into outer space. Now, there's so many things wrong with that statement, I don't have time in one video to explain it all.
There are so many things wrong with that statement, starting with, I don't see any citations in your video description, and Harvard University has said no such thing. What they have said is that there's discussion of doing an experiment which will spray a small amount of water crystals into the upper atmosphere with numerous sensors in the vicinity to monitor what happens. Nothing about what anyone is currently doing, or what's been done in the past, so you're just wrong. Completely wrong. Maybe even lying.
But people need to wake up, and people need to wake up others, because it's June. It's 48 degrees out. This is totally unnatural, and it's been raining in Boston for weeks. Maybe a day here or there where the sun comes out. But the weather in Boston is now just like what I'm imagining the weather on the West Coast in Washington is. Or London.
Well, fuck. It's like I said, cloud cover for days, weeks, according to you. It's no surprise that it's 40-some degrees out, but let's take a look. Yup, it was 62 the next day, 71 the day after that, and in the mid-90s by Monday. It's called weather. It fluctuates. Looking at the forecast, it seems that daylight highs will average to about 75 degrees, only 2 degrees below the Boston average for June historically. Your logic isn't even consistent, my friend.
They're spraying the sky with metals to reflect the sun back into outer space. Wake up! What part of that sounds like it will end well?
Addressing these concerns about what might happen is exactly why they want to do these experiments. They're going to start with ice crystals, for fuck's sake. Then, depending on the results, they'll move on to some other chemicals and some metals, including a calcium carbonate mineral that models suggest may help repair the ozone layer. So, if the results are positive and the results of future testing are similarly positive, we might just be able to manipulate our climate to be relatively optimal for human life across the board. We could possibly repair the damage that we've already done to the ozone layer. Even if you think anthropogenic global warming is a myth, that's a net positive for everyone.
Because none of it will end well. The ramifications involved are staggering. Climate change, global warming are a hoax anyway.
Climate change is a hoax. Not even the AGW deniers are usually willing to go that far. But since skepticism of claims is encouraged around here, can we at least see your links for disproving the well-established models for why carbon dioxide acts as a greenhouse gas, or demonstrating that there's no correlation between human industrial activity and atmospheric CO2 levels? Perhaps something that will dispute the causal relationship, which we can infer by showing that there's an alternate source for the increase in CO2? Now, even if we didn't have the overt evidence of the impact of human CO2 production in the form of more rapid temperature rises and ocean acidification to demonstrate that these increases in CO2 levels were indeed affecting our climate, basic cause and effect would tell you that if you increase concentrations of a greenhouse gas, sooner or later you will see an increase in temperatures. The debate isn't about climate change. The debate is over how bad it is and what we should do about it. Geoengineering, in line with what was proposed by Harvard, is one of those options which may address this issue. We shouldn't be ignoring it.
I just love ignorant, rude people that don't know how to drive. I'd like to get out and grab these liberals by their jowls.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist leaving this in there for the pure irony of some ass recording a video while driving, taking his hands off the wheel to manipulate the camera while staring off into the distance, criticizing anyone else for their driving abilities. New hypothesis for the psychologists watching to investigate. Is there a corollary between complete lack of self-awareness and gullibility to conspiracy theories? Inquiring minds want to know.
Things are wrong. Things are really wrong. You can think that JFK wasn't assassinated. You can think we landed on the moon. You can think 9/11 was done by a dude in a cave on the other side of the world with a cell phone.
Anyone else humming, "One of these things is not like the other"? JFK conspiracies are all about different reasons for the assassination. But anyways, that being said, we most certainly did land on the moon. The evidence is overwhelming. Overwhelming. Including the failure of deniers to provide any credible evidence against the Apollo missions. Just real quick, 9/11 wasn't done by a fucker in a cave with a cell phone, but by a group of knife-wielding maniacs physically on board the fucking planes. Do not disrespect the dead with your ravings unless you have some fucking solid evidence. Don't fucking do it.
But this is no longer a conspiracy theory. Harvard University, David Keith, Operation Solar Shield.
As I've explained, nothing Dr. Keith or Harvard have said or proposed is anything like your mad ravings. No one has admitted to a clandestine seeding of the sky through chemtrails. They've explicitly stated the opposite and discussed the very real risks of aggressively implementing these methods without greater than usual oversight and public scrutiny. They are, if anything, bending over backwards to reassure idiots like you that this is genuine research and you should drive off the next bridge you find for impugning them.
They're killing us. They're destroying the weather. Aerial spraying, solar remediation, geoengineering, whatever they call it, is the symptoms that people are mistaking for climate change. It's time to wake up before you're no longer able.
Do you have any reason why people would work to damage the capacity for the only known life-bearing planet to sustain their own continued existence? Why would they work against their own survival? Are you listening to yourself? And do you have any evidence whatsoever for any of this? At any rate, I can't decide if you're asleep, to use your own analogy, or delusional. Or a Poe, but fuck Poes.
They are effectively changing the climate on the Earth right now. It should be 60, 70, 80 degrees in Boston since halfway through last month. And yet it's 48 degrees and it's been raining for weeks.
As we pointed out, the raining for weeks part largely explains why it's colder than usual. What you leave out, and this would be important if you were being honest about things, is that temperatures were about average for most of the week before you recorded. Hell, you're ignoring the 3 days temperatures were 90 or above in May. How does that fit into your narrative? The point is, you can't use a few days out of a week, or even the average temperature of a single city in a fucking month, to tell you much about the behavior of the global climate over the course of decades. This is like arguing that traffic on one block of downtown Washington, D.C. on a Wednesday afternoon is representative of all traffic in the United States when looking at trends since the 1950s. It's stupid, but that's what makes you entertaining. I'm InaneDragon, and I hope you've enjoyed this inanity. If you have, consider subscribing for more of the same. If you truly love me, take a minute to rate and share the video. Maybe even leave a comment below so we can discuss the topic in more depth. As they say, fools and their money are soon parted, so my undying thanks go out to Yakru and a Moldy Donut for their patronage. If you'd like to follow their example, a link to my Patreon is in the description. That's all I've got for you. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.